Every time, fingers crossed. I'm like, please work for us. Yes, okay, we are officially connected. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the February Cozy Mystery Book Club live stream discussion. I'm going to pull up her beautiful face with her photo over here. Kate Lansing. I had to make a graphic for her because she is so amazing. And I have a QR code here with her website. So if you have your phones at the ready, you can take a little photo of that or scan it because this woman is so great and so awesome. So here's her photo again. This is the fabulous Kate Lansing. So I wanted to do this little, there she is. She's so great.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest host, Angela. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with everybody.
You are welcome anytime. I absolutely adore this woman. I was telling her before, she is so sweet. She's offering tonight's giveaway. So this woman, I have her books right here. They're always right there. I love Killer Chardonnay. Her Colorado Wine Mystery Series makes me so happy. And she's generously offering. So whoever wins tonight is going to be able to have the book of their choice. So if you've already read book 1, but you need book 2, she's got you covered. And if you have not read Killer Chardonnay, you need to, and you will ask for that book in the series. So I'm very appreciative of this giveaway offer.
Yeah, well, thank you, Angela, and for all of your support and the whole group. I love the Cozy Mystery Book Club, and I have for years. So
I have a little video thumbnail showing. I'm always so proud of these. I'm really trying to utilize all the features of StreamYard. So we got the little video clip, and we have our little introduction of this is the Cozy Mystery Book Club. And I'm seeing all the comments pop up. And there is Jennifer J. Chow.
Hey, Jen.
Oh my goodness. Welcome, because tonight we are talking about Jennifer's LA, I want to say Night Market Mystery Series with Death by Bubble Tea. And I'm looking at the book cover, and as I'm looking at it, I'm going, that's Nick right there. I didn't even notice that. We're going to have to talk about Nick. But I'm like, that's Nick right there. So we have Death by Bubble Tea for tonight. And again, with my little book covers and banners, which I'm so proud of. So we have, where'd you go? I have it. We even have a little book blurb over here. There we go. And you can even see Nick right there too. Right in the back.
Amazing.
And we have, I'm just going to throw it in there again because Kate's awesome. I have
You're the best.
I'm trying to be prepared.
You're like the graphics queen. I don't know how you do it.
See, this is one of the things. I love that we're doing our TBR for the year now. It used to be every 4 months. We used to do quarterly. But by having it do the whole year, people can buy their books, put money aside, request it with the library. But I have time to do graphics. This is what the year gives me. It gives me time to do all those little video intros and all the little author pop-ups, because I also have photos of Jen over here too. Throw in my little, where'd you go? I have other little overlays for Jen because she was so kind, and I got to chat with her at Malice Domestic. So I just posted my interview with Jen. Here it is, another little graphic. I just love doing them. So this is what the TBR for the year gets you. It gets more graphics. And all the comments are popping up. This is so cool. Oh, this is so cool to see all the, that is amazing. Hello in Japan. That is so cool. Welcome to the Cozy Mystery Book Club. I am so honored that you're joining us. I think this is the first time someone said hi from Japan before. I'm always going to have to ask this question because I'm always so surprised. We had someone from New Zealand last time, and that blew my mind too. Oh, this is so cool. Hawaii, you guys are all over the place. And yes, thank you, Kim. We love you, Kate, and your Colorado Wine Mystery Series.
Oh, thank you so much. You all are too kind.
Yes, if you guys have any questions for Jen while she's here, I know Kate told me before that she's going to pop in, so I don't know how long Jen's here, but if you have any quick questions for her about the book, please ask her now. Take advantage of the author being here because that's so cool and very exciting. So I'm just, again, we're here to talk about Death by Bubble Tea. If there's something in particular you guys want to talk about tonight, please comment now because, I mean, there's so much to talk about with this book. Jen did a wonderful job. I know you're here somewhere, Jen. You did a great job. So there's plenty of content.
And I see some love for Marshmallow the cat from her prior series, which also makes me happy because Marshmallow is one of my favorite like furry animal sidekicks because he can talk. He has like a personality. It's great. He's telepathic.
Oh, I had the best time chatting with her for the interview because I think I mostly spoke with her about Mimi Lee. So yes, this was before. Okay. It takes me a long time to edit interviews. So when I say Malice Domestic, I don't mean this mouse domestic. I mean last year's, the previous malice. So Jen was very patient too for this interview to finally get posted. So I think this was before, I think the interview I did with her was actually before this was published. So I got to know about the book beforehand. Now the interview is relevant in the sense of, okay, it's out in the world now. So then there's still content that pertains to it, but it was before the publication date. So you guys are in the know. You guys know something that I hadn't revealed before. Oh my gosh. So we got to kick it over to you first. What did you think of Death by Bubble Tea by Jennifer J. Chow?
Well, I loved it. So I read this book for the first time. I even got an advanced copy of it. So it's been like a year or two since I've read it, I want to say. And so I just finished a reread of it and it was really fun. And so the things I loved about it was that it took place in LA. And I have to say too, I've known Jen for a number of years, but I will say I actually, even though we're friends, I will also say I genuinely just adore her work, and especially this book, because LA, the setting was so cool, the night market. And my other favorite thing was the relationship between Celine and Yale, the duo, the way they came together as cousins, because it's like they didn't quite get along, and just their dynamic. It was so fun to read about. And then the food, of course, I just finished rereading it today, and I want to go get some dim sum. So I'm hungry. But yeah, no, I loved this book, and I also thought it was kind of cool that like I didn't see who did it. The first time I read it, I was shocked. And then in this reread, I remembered who it was, and so I was reading it to pick up clues. And it was tricky because some of the clues were so subtle, and I just thought it was really smart. Yeah. So how about you? What did you think? So mine, I loved it.
Well, you were talking about the food. I'm pretty sure there were recipes in the back here.
There are. Yes.
Yes, there they are. I was going to say, everyone talking about their food and hunger cravings on Instagram. I always try and ask y'all beforehand to get a little bit of an idea or feel for things you want to talk about. And I'm pretty sure there were at least 5 answers saying, this book made me hungry. This book made me crave Asian food. This book made me wanted to go out and get all the dim sum. And then someone was going, now I need to classify all my friends in dim sum. So I think the food component of this book was so fascinating because it wasn't the traditional restaurant or bakery cozy mystery. Yes, we have the lovely father of Yale who has his restaurant, but she's not actually a worker in the restaurant. But we have the tie-in to the restaurant, which is great. And she still has her love of food, but she's struggling with her love of food because it reminds her of her mom. But we still have all of the food appreciation. Striking that balance blows my mind because you have to have the characterization, but you still have the setting with it's still a food cozy mystery, and there's a lot of different moving parts of this puzzle that you have to account for. So very impressive.
Yes, I'm gonna 1000% agree, and especially I loved the dim sum characterization that happened right away, and I was like, I know exactly who Yale is, and I love it. It was so unique and such a great way to tie in her love of food, or like you said, like I love the depth too, the complex relationship she has both with food and with driving, which I thought was really cool. Like there was a lot of depth to Yale with what she as a character had to overcome in this book, and that was one of the things I really loved about it. Was while her and Celine are solving crime, they're also like growing as characters, both of them, I think, even Celine. So it was fun.
It was so cute. I mean, I love the dim sum idea because I don't think I've ever seen that reference before. Let's categorize people as dim sum. I had to go make sure that I pulled it up correctly because she couldn't pinpoint what Celine was at first. In the very end, we have our answer. Celine is sticky rice. And she goes into this, it's almost a full-on paragraph of why she's sticky rice. But again, you're describing someone as a food. And I loved that quote and that comparison because you're talking about how there's all these different components to her. You have the sweet, a little bit of sour. I mean, it just was such a beautiful description for a character. And it's about dim sum. Going, this is amazing. I don't know what inspired that particular idea of having characters be described as this type of food, but then having a full-on paragraph as to why someone is sticky rice and having it be beautiful and not just comical. I mean, I'm smiling because I'm going, I don't know how you're able to take something that could be not satirical, but something that could be like super comedic or be a little cringy, and then having it be something so meaningful and beautiful. And you're going, she really does love her cousin. They really did grow and get together and cross that bridge. Oh,
It's so true. It was, I agree. Like it was almost at first, it was almost a little bit humorous, like, oh, sticky rice for this extremely glamorous, like, celebrity type character. And then it was like, oh, sticky rice, there's so much to it. I get it. Like tear, right?
that
Like
was
it's
so beautiful. And I'm going,
brilliant.
she's talking of it. And I want more of a description. I'm trying to go back and pull up the comments. Yes, they are such a fun duo. I love how they're foils and they're so different in the juxtaposition of their characteristics. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I love Yale's great, but Celine made me so happy. I love Celine. I know that's we have those moments of, okay, she might be a little spoiled. She might be a little this or a little that, and she always has to look perfect. But there is such depth and kindness to her. I'm going, I want a cousin like Celine.
I know. Well, she just sort of leapt off the page. And I think it was somewhat, Jen, you can comment if this is intentional, but like Yale's character was sort of, oh, I got this, and she was a little bit of a wallflower, like a bookworm. She lived in her stories in her fantasy land. And I loved that about her because I can relate to that, right? That's like, I feel seen. But then it was like Celine pulled her out and forced her to live in the real world a little bit and to experience adventures and stories for herself. And so I loved Celine, and I do think she was I love a good flawed character. Like I'm such a sucker for like somebody who's like, I had this giant mishap, and the whole time I'm like, what embarrassing thing happened to her in Hong Kong? Why is she here? And then you find out, and it's like, and it's really so innocent. She was just trying to take a foodie picture, right? Like, and like accidentally pulled somebody's strap down, and like it led to a huge controversy. And I had such a soft spot for her, and I felt like Celine needed Yale just as much as Yale needed Celine, and that's why I was rooting for them almost as much as them like solving the crime.
So Jennifer's answer is yes, the two cousins balance each other out, and Celine does pull Yale out of her wallflowerness. And it's one of those, sometimes you get the idea, you get the impression that the author has the idea what they want to convey, but it doesn't quite get all the way, or you don't quite walk away with what they're hoping you're going to take away from their book. We clearly took exactly what she intended away. So 2 thumbs up on that front, because there's the idea and then the execution. You got the execution. Throwing that out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I saw someone say that the title is very clever. I was writing down the names of things. I love the name. So I gotta say, Celine, this is something where I would never do it myself. If someone has the name of their restaurant or their particular food stall or whatever, I would not rename it without their permission. Maybe she ended up getting it. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. But I love the name she came up with, the Kanai and Chai, instead of just a simple name. Celine is a marketing genius, and I love that I'm talking about the character with the author. I'm like, you're the marketing genius, because the name of this stall was so great, and I'm going, in book 2, they have to have chai at their stall, at their booth. They need to have chai. That's what I'm waiting for now, the chai recipe, the chai references.
I know. I really did love that. And I thought it was interesting that Yale was sort of just went along with it. She was like, well, okay, like I'm here as a favor to my dad. So like, sure. But Celine really did have a good pulse on marketing and what would work. And like the light bulb cups sounded really cool. And I don't know about edible gold going in the drinks. Like that was like, wow, you really pushed the bar there. You really took some liberties. But she had such a good pulse on like what people wanted and how to make it just special, how to make it sparkle. And I liked that about her. She kind of took ideas, and then even at the end with the blog post, right? She's like, I know how we can save everything. I'm going to take this and we're going to just really make it the best for everybody, including Nick, who was such a jerk, right? Like the whole time I was like, ugh, he's just rubbing his goatee. And I just pictured like this villain, right? Rubbing his oily goatee. It got oilier and oilier as I read through the book.
That's so funny. I'm picturing like the twirly mustache reference of like, I'm the evil villain planning things.
That, exactly. Yeah, that's how I started picturing Nick at the end. Ugh.
I mean, okay, so we're talking about, I'm glad Celine stayed, but I'm also a little concerned for Celine because Nick's mom is determined to set Celine up with Nick. So I know we have the author here. I don't know about spoilers, but I do not want Celine to end up with Nick. I'm sorry. I don't want that couple to happen. Maybe he can soften and evolve and grow. Again, we love our character development, but my goodness, the mother, she was so obvious and so adorable. But I love how Celine, I'm laughing because it's just so funny to me. Celine walks in to the restaurant, the family restaurant. Celine walks in with her cousin, and the mother immediately wants to separate Celine and Yale. So Yale's at the bar stool by herself, and she's creating a date for Celine and Nick, like a spontaneous breakfast date, even though the cousin is right there. All of a sudden they're on a date as far as Nick's mama is concerned. Like, it's a date. We're together. This is a date.
Somebody commented with "Run, Celine, run!" and I like, I can't help but agree. It's so true. Okay. And so Jen said Nick gets a little redemption. You know what?
Right.
I was secretly, we were talking beforehand before we got on, and I was like, man, at first too, when I read the book, I remember thinking like, I kind of want Nick and Yale, and I don't know if this is, but like they almost have like this enemies to lovers vibe where I was like, maybe something will happen here. Maybe he'll have this redeeming quality. So that's good to know he does.
I mean, the 48-hour countdown of him saying, I'm going to destroy your family. And I love how there's a restaurant network, by the way. I love that this is an established thing of, I picture a phone tree of like, I'm going to call this person, you're going to call it. I just picture this kind of breakdown of every restaurant owner or Asian food distributor has this like tree of contacts that they're going to be like, I have a piece of gossip for you. By the time you get to the bottom of the phone tree, it's not even remotely the same message, but he's threatening to use the contacts. And I'm going, you are a terrible person. She's yes, she's the sleuther of our book, and she's our sleuther, but as far as you know, she has nothing to do with this case. Yes, we know as the reader she's involved, but he's just going, you got to go solve this case. I give you 48 hours. What? The poor thing. Oh, Nick.
I know. And the whole time I kept wanting, it was like, Yale is so the bigger person over and over and over again. Because you kind of just want her or Celine to be like, nuh-uh, like, no way. But she's so the bigger person. And like, I don't know, it's like they beat him despite him cheating, which is like, I don't know. And you brought up a good point too, which is like, there was like a phone tree, which reminds me of something that was interesting about Yale, which is she does not like technology.
She doesn't have a cellular device.
Does not have a cell phone and
does not have a computer either. She has to go to the library to do her research.
I know. And you know, I liked that kind of threw back a little bit to some of the like OG sleuths, you know, where they are forced to like go to the library or research in more creative ways. It was refreshing to see somebody not just get on Google, which I leverage in my book. So I'm like throwing no shade. Yeah, you've got some Angela Lansbury going on.
I told you I've been working on my graphics. I had to throw a little bit pink on the corners.
I love it. But yeah, it was so cool. She didn't have a phone. She had an answering machine.
So that was actually something I wanted to ask y'all. If you guys liked that idea, did you think it was, I mean, it obviously lent itself to the story because by running away from the crime scene with the security cameras that caught her, he's going, well, why did you run away from the body? But yet as the reader, we know because she needed to go make a phone call. So it lent itself to the mystery, making her a little bit of a suspect. But at the same time, you can't get an Uber. I mean, how does this woman travel around? By the bus. Not having the cell phone. People are trying to reach her and they're calling the landline and they have to hope that she's going to at some point listen to her voicemail. So I'm curious what you guys thought about the no technology. And also I find it hysterical that Selena is the total opposite, always with her technology. And technology is literally her life and her job, taking photos of everything. So that was a fun juxtaposition. But I was curious what you guys thought about our leading lady being so anti-technology. What did you think?
I thought it was refreshing. You know, at times, like it would be really difficult in this day and age to live without a cell phone. Like it's hard.
Kelly,
I wanted to send her a cell phone. Yeah. I did love that she kept borrowing Celine's phone. It was like by the time she like was hanging out with Celine at the end, I feel like she was starting to see the merits of technology and like, oh, I wish I had my notes app on me. But even when she had Celine's cell phone, all she was using was the notes app. Like, oh girl, you could be doing so much with your phone. But I liked it because I thought that it forced like, or didn't force, but it was a creative way to make the sleuth more ingenious and have to go about it in a different way, which, sometimes like Google and Facebook, it was nice to read about somebody like, and like, I know Celine does trick Blake into Facebook friending her,
Yep.
which I liked, and they did include like, Jen did include, social media and some of that, but it was kind of cool to see Yale outside of that and using logic in a different way. So I liked it.
So I saw that one comment referenced this, and this was part of my notes too.
Yeah.
The tie-in to why she's anti-technology, we have to acknowledge and talk about that.
Oh.
With the mother having the car with the tech difficulties and the tech difficulties with the car causing her to have a heart attack, which was what led to her death. So there is a little technology trauma to Yale. So it's understandable. You're going, okay, I kind of understand why you didn't want to get behind the wheel of the car. Even the father was so surprised that at one point she wanted to drive. And she does. She's slowly coming out of her shell with Celine. She finally starts to drive. With Celine, she's utilizing the cell phone. So maybe she's overcoming that trauma a little bit as the book progresses. So I'm giving Jenna some writing credit, shout outs right there, because that's very well done. That's good writing right there.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And you're right. Like poor Yale, like she's such a likable character because I think she had so much to overcome. Right. So like with her mom's death, it wasn't just the technology side of it. It was that she was driving at the time. And it was that Yale had sent her out for an ingredient she was out of that she really needed. So there were like all of these pieces of guilt and grief and things that she was still really struggling with. And I felt like that was a cool part of the story where you sort of see her actually admit it to Celine, who you feel like it's the first person who's ever, one, maybe asked her directly, like what happened. And then two, the first person she's felt like she could share with. And it was a really touching part of the book. And I liked that.
You said that so well. She's so eloquent. This is why she's a writer herself. I saw someone ask up here, was the lack of technology for Yale also a budget issue? And I think that's a very fair question, because this was the part of the book where you could tell Yale was a little jealous of Celine having just unlimited funds at her fingertips. So yes, I'm curious if maybe the lack of having the computer, because my cell phone, it does have that monthly bill come in that you got to account for. So I am curious, and I did realize that this poll is still live, so I'm going to officially end the poll. And it looks like y'all pretty much voted for, so 40% 4 stars, 37% 5 stars, and 21% for 3 stars. And absolutely no one said 1 star or 2 stars. So y'all really enjoyed this book, which I'm very happy about.
Oh, that's awesome. I know, the budget that I loved, that money was a theme throughout this story. Like it came up not only like between Yale and Celine as a way they sort of butted heads, but it was like, it came up immediately when Yale lost her job and she's eating ramen, and then she agrees to do the night market, I think sort of to help her dad in the business, but I think also because she needs it. And I did even the motive, which we talked a little bit about, like with the roommates, they're all sharing a flat with Jordan, the murder victim. And you can just tell that it's very relevant that money and rent is high and you can't, and it's just, but then Celine's the opposite end of the spectrum, right? She's throwing money left and right, like tipping, like whatever, here you go. Money solves all problems. And it was such an interesting, it was an interesting spectrum to show that across a number of different characters.
I just saw this comment from Meredith pop up. I think the lack of technology helped a big city still feel simple and small, if that makes sense. She knew only what she was seeing in person, and I liked that. And that is a very great, I love that. That's a great way to view it, because this is something about Cozy Mysteries, right? We love our small towns. We love our communities. And so creating a sense of community in LA, Jen was still able to do that. I know I'm going like, it's the LA night market. I'm going, yeah, the LA market. Maybe that's their little community. That's their sense of cozy mystery love right there. So I like that. Yeah, that's a great comment and observation.
I love it. I also think the lack of having a car, that she walked everywhere. It was a like a subset of greater LA, because LA is huge. And they found this one little niche area, and they did go out and explore other areas, but it was cool the way that, like, yeah, her lack of transportation and her lack of cell phone and technology sort of did give it that small town, and the night market itself gave it that small town vibe.
So it's so funny to me as a Jennifer J. Chow reader, where I'm going, she has a talking cat in this other series. So we have a little bit of paranormal, fantasy over here. And then this one had such realism to me, and it was so grounded and so relatable. I'm going, how do you have a talking cat over here? And then you have just the most relatable characters in this other series. So that's very clever, and be able to switch like that is thumbs up move. I'm very impressed.
I know. I agree.
So this is something too, right? So Celine, she might have money, but she does try and use it in a way where I think this is the conversation about everyone has their love language. And so for her, I think giving away her money and spending her money is her way of showing her love and her appreciation. So when she's giving people tips, she's trying to say, I appreciate your service. I appreciate your time, your energy, your effort. I think that's her way of saying thank you, even though she might not verbally say it. And then at the very end, spoiler alert, just telling you, spoiler alert, at the very end, she buys her cousin a car.
I know.
That is basically her way of saying, thank you for the best week ever. I love you. You are the best cousin. We are officially reaching sister status. She buys her a car. That's so generous.
So sweet. And then it's like for Yale, Celine uses, I think it's like words of affirmation, right? So like the whole time, like they throw back to this Disneyland trip they took when they were young. And all Yale wanted was for Celine to see her as a sister. And then at the end of the book, like Celine, it's like I forget if I think she actually said the words, right? And then it's like it registers for Yale, like this is her way of communicating this. And then, yeah, Yale reciprocates and finally understands too, but it takes them getting over that hurdle, which, I do think that's such a common like you said, they're very real people, such a common misunderstanding, like misunderstanding money, especially like you just gave me money for taking the room in my apartment. Of course I'm going to feel like, what happened? But yet then, Yale talks to some friends and they're like, no, she was just showing you some love. So
it's not just a car. It's a sports car. Mama Rocks knows. She's going, it's a sports car.
It's a convertible. It's a Boxster convertible that like, and then it's not only amazing and flashy and like be super fun to drive, but like Yale said, it made it easier for her to drive because she could feel the wind in her hair and it helped take her mind off of things. And it was just beautiful.
I think it was so clever too with the childhood interactions because you could get both sides of it. So in my own little head, I'm thinking, if someone wanted to borrow my chapstick, I would be a little, wait, what? Why don't you need, what do you have? And I would probably just give them the chapstick and be like, no, you keep it. It's yours now. So I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So having someone lean in unexpectedly, that would throw me off a little bit too. So maybe because of my own disposition, I related to Celine a little bit in those moments. But at the same time, as the reader, I understood exactly what Yale was getting at with, oh, she leaned away from me. That means she's pulling away emotionally. And I mean, honestly, sometimes you're just like, you're in my bubble. What's going on? So as I look over, the dog's not here. She's not in my bubble. Usually she's always So I kind of understood both sides of it. And the fact that she created a situation that lent itself to both sides being correct in their own way is really something that must have taken a lot of thought, effort, energy, because having something like that is so hard to do. And she did the same thing with the Disneyland example of this girl. She flew in from Hong Kong. I mean, I don't know what the flight time is from Hong Kong to LA. I can Google that if somebody wants to look that up while I'm talking. I mean, I don't know what that flight time is, but I'm going to guess it's a lot of time. So if this little girl flew all the way in from Hong Kong to then go to Disneyland, I can kind of understand why she wants to be like, no, I want to go on my rides, even though her cousin is a little, sitting there on the bench, but she has both her parents. She's kind of okay, but not really. So again, you're a kid. You don't really understand everything around you. You might not have all those social skills yet. I mean, if you're a little kid and you see the rides and you're going, I was on a flight, I've been picturing this, I want to go to my rides. You see how these things can be misconstrued on both sides. And the fact that it works that way, credit. I'm like, oh, clapping for Jennifer. I know.
It was so smart. It was so smart. And okay, so you mentioned the flight time to Hong Kong. which makes me think of the end of the. So when Celine goes home, I even had read the book before, and in my reread, I was like, did
Mhm.
she really fly all the way to Hong Kong? Holy cow, girl! And then she must have gotten there, gotten the call from, from her uncle, from Yale's dad, and like just gotten back on a plane and flown back. I mean, she must have done what? Like, what would that be? Like 48? Let's see.
Okay.
So Japan is like a 14-hour flight. I mean, is that like from Denver? So I'm in Denver, right? So like, that's like,
A 12-hour, 40-minute nonstop flight from
oh my
Hong
gosh,
Kong to LA. That is true love right there. That is your
that
cousin's sisterly love.
that is true love. That's like almost more than the gift of a convertible is like, I just flew on a plane voluntarily for over 24 hours.
And she still looks perfect.
And she's still perfect.
I mean, if I can be on a plane for an hour and look totally disheveled, she's on a plane for going over ocean and she's going. I mean, I don't know how Celine is as perfect as she is, but I aspire to be like her. And I see that someone's talking about her being an influencer, and
Yes.
she influenced Yale in the best possible way or best positive way. That is a very, very great comment, Vicky. I love that. She is so sweet, though. And I have to be honest, I thought in my own little reader head, I was picturing. I thought Celine was going to hole up over the Four Seasons, just be like, nope, I'm going to go stay here and enjoy LA or do something as my little tourist. I thought she was still going to be in town. I
That's what
never
I
got she got on the plane. And then
that's what
she
I
did.
thought too. Yeah. Yeah. Even when I was rereading it, I was like, oh, Celine's just back at the Four Seasons. They're I know.
And she's got, because this is the other thing too. Again, I've traveled quite a bit waiting for those bags, and she has 3 giant bags.
Free
With
bag.
her
She's lucky
carry-on.
they made it through. She just
She's got her bags. This girl knows how to fly, and she knows exactly how this
oh my
works.
gosh.
She's so impressive to me. And she's got the little twinkle lights for the stall in the booth, and she's dressed up as the tigress, the little
Oh my
cat
God.
for Halloween. I mean, Celine is just, there's so much to her that's to enjoy.
She really brought it. She brought her A game. And like I see somebody commented, like my cousins need to step up their game. And like
Yes, all of our cousins need to be like, do you need a Porsche? The answer is yes, of course. Well, it should actually be, do you need more bookcases for me
I
first?
know. Yeah.
Then go to the car.
Mhm.
Oh yes, I love the cup she came up with. So we were talking about this a little bit before, but I didn't actually know about the light bulb cups, and then I actually had to Google that, and so they are available on Amazon, but I had never seen those before. So to me, again, I'm on Bookstagram. I do books. I don't really go on the Foodstagram community.
No.
I'm not really sure what's trendy. So to me, this was all new information about the food community and their Instagram, the way they Instagram
No.
and how they talk about it. So I was fascinated with the little light bulb cups. And we do have to mention Nick here. Nick copied the idea the next day.
The next day. And then he was like, and then he was so wishy-washy about it because when he found out that it would implicate him in the murder, he's like, oh, I wasn't the one. And Yale's like, oh, so you weren't the original. And he's like, no, but I was. Wait a minute. Make up your mind, mister.
Are you lying then or are you lying now?
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It was so creative. And it was totally Celine did it because she knew.
And then I like this comment, Michelle. Those cups caused a lot of problems though. But then without the cups, we wouldn't have had a story.
I know that those cups. Oh my gosh. And the bubble tea, all the different foods too. I loved it. And like the nitrogen ice cream, it was like fascinating. And like the chemistry that went into some of it, like, and then she had a nickel, like Jordan had a nickel allergy. I was so sucked into some of the like how how done it, like, which is something I like about cozies, right? Is the like, how did this happen? And that was as much of a puzzle, I thought, as like the who done it, which is always refreshing whenever I see that.
So I was very curious about that as well with the whole I was thinking about how Celine is from Hong Kong. So I was curious at first. Oh my goodness, she went to the craft store. Did she actually buy craft glitter and kill this woman because she didn't understand a translation or something like that? And that was not the case. So I was actually very relieved that Celine was in the right and it was nothing to do with her. Spoiler alert, Celine is innocent on all counts. But I was so fascinated when Jen was able to tie in that Celine might have actually had a motive, because I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah.
Because again, this woman is flying from Hong Kong to LA, and yes, big communities, lots of people in both. And I understand certain communities can be small online, hashtag cozy community. But she was able to have that overlap of, yeah, we're both in the Foodstagram community, and they actually had a DM exchange. And when that came up, I was going, oh my goodness, please tell me Celine didn't have anything to do with this, intentionally or unintentionally. And I was so invested in that scene. But the fact we were able to have a tie-in of maybe Celine actually did have a motive, I was so engrossed and shocked by that.
Yes, I know. I loved it. It was a way to really tie everything together in such a great way. Like, why is Celine here now? And to make you suspect her, and even I think Yale suspects even her a little bit.
She asked her. She actually asked her.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that as well. And I thought it was cool to bring a neat way to bring in Celine's passion for Foodstagram, and Instagram and sliding into DMs and all that.
Well, I think that's really cute and clever to show. Again, I'm just going to say the juxtaposition between the no technology and technology. They both love food, but they're loving food in their own way. So no technology, loving food, making it in the kitchen, looking up things in books and, hard copy recipes. Whereas the other one's online, talking about food, showcasing it with the photography. So they both love food, but they're both in their own kind of wheel, like they each have their own little way about it. So there's the overlap of, yes, it's food, but they're both doing and celebrating food in different ways. And the fact that we were able to incorporate so much Asian culture with this, I was writing things down and going, I've never tried this, I never knew about this. I have a whole list of foods I need to go try now, including the recipes. But I love the fact that you have the technology food lover and then the kitchen food lover, and she's not doing, when it comes to kitchens, I always think of Food Network of going, no, she just wants to be in her kitchen. She's not trying to film herself for YouTube or anything. She just wants to be cooking.
It's like the opposite for Yale. Like, get that camera away from me.
She's taking photos of everything in the corner. I loved it when she took a bite of food and she goes, oh, did you want to take a photograph of that? And she goes, oh, please, I already got that photo.
I already had my own. I know. I loved it. It was so spot on. And yeah, it was really cool. Like, I think one thing that I really appreciated specifically was the yin and the yang, the yum and the yang. Like, the yum was the cold, which tied into Jordan's like character with having migraines and gravitating toward really cold things, which I did not know things could be so cold that you didn't know they were too cold, which is now I'm like, okay, my brain made a mental note. Like, it was just so interesting. And I don't know, I loved that tied in with Jordan's character too. And Jordan was cool with her contacts, like her purple eyes. And okay. Yeah. And so it being on Halloween, which was fun too, everybody was dressed up. And so her and her roommates, you had the like mistaken identity trope, which is one of my favorites too. With like, they were all dressed the same. They were all dressed as ninjas. And like, it was just so cool. Yeah. What did you think of that?
So I thought the idea of the roommates dressing alike, then growing into, they did the costumes together, that was exceptionally clever because it lent itself to that situation so well, because it reminds me of those masquerade balls if you don't know who's behind the mask, and that's all of a sudden she kissed the wrong duke and now she has to marry him before the tone knows in society pushes her aside. So there's a lot of things that it can be reminiscent of, but it was so fascinating to me because I didn't catch one of the details of, oh, the girl who bought from us was using a backpack instead of using her little purse. And, oh, she was taller than Nick. So those little details went right over my head at first. I had to go back and be going, okay, they're dressed as ninjas. But I didn't know at the time when we we're first starting out with this book, there are multiple ninjas running around. We just think about there's one. But here's where I think Jen did something clever with this. Each of the ninjas arrives together in their little friend group, but then you have one who goes to the food station, one who wants to go to the entertainment, and the other one who goes to the craft section. So you have 3 little ninjas running all around the place.
I know. It was so well done. And like, I'm with you. I didn't pick up on the height difference. It kind of went right over my head. I figured there would be maybe some misidentity, because that's what it was leading to. But, and then there was some attention drawn to the backpack, and I was like, aha, I see now. But then also I was like, man, Jordan sure is drinking a lot of cold beverages. Like I know she's like, she made her rounds in the food area.
I
So
just
then
saw the comment. So these two women, they both celebrate food, but they're also giving away a lot of free food. These two women, I thought this was hysterical. They basically were knocking on people's doors going, if we give you food, will you talk to us and give us clues about who actually did the murder over here? But everybody loved the food and the smell, and they're going, are there egg rolls in there?
I
People
know.
loved the food. They didn't even care that they were being intrusive or a little awkward, but they utilized their food supply and their talent. Well, I was going to say Yale's father, her uncle, they utilized the family connection and going, okay, we have food. This is going to let go to clues now. It was so great.
It was so cute. I loved it. They kept doing it too. And you know what I kept thinking was like, wow, Yale's dad makes a lot of extra food. Like they drop in spontaneously and get a lot of grub. And I loved that they did utilize it over and over and over again, even to like the game studio where Regan used to work, right? And it was so cute. Yeah.
So people are talking about the murder and the surprise. So we have to talk about the three roommates. And so I was trying to follow the comments. So please, if there's something about this you want to talk about, please comment. I'm trying to follow along. And if I miss a comment, please write it again. Let me know. Make sure I catch them all. But people are talking about the surprise with who the whodunit was. And did you solve the whodunit? You didn't solve this one, did you?
No, gosh, no. And the first time I read it, I was like completely blindsided. I did not see it coming. It was like, wait, what? And then I reread it this time and I was looking for clues and I picked up on, and they're very, very smart and very well placed with other clues to where it was just really, really hidden. And yeah, no, I was completely blindsided. I did not see it coming.
So my particular pick was Reagan. I thought Reagan was going to be our big reveal because to me, I thought she had the strongest motive. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be in the heat of the moment, sort of, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm so upset about the situation. I thought, so Jordan being Jordan, she likes to know everything and she has apparently a very strict sense of morality. So Reagan gets Jordan a job and then Jordan is in HR and subsequently fires Reagan, who got her the job. And then the night of the very first market, poor Reagan decides she wants to go try and schmooze up to her previous boss who just fired her and hang out with her coworkers to try and get in good with them again, win them prizes. I thought something was going to trigger her that would lend itself to, okay, yeah, I'm going after Jordan. She's causing all my problems. And it was going to be a heat of the moment thing. I was so far off with that. That was my theory. That was my theory for this book.
I love it. Mine was, I actually, I think I thought it was Genesis because her family was threatened. I thought there was going to be something uncovered with Jordan was going to turn her family in for some reason because they were breaking code and too many of them were living under one roof. Because whenever family gets involved, like you see how much Yale and Celine are connecting and what they're doing for each other. And the minute I heard Genesis was like, Jordan was threatening her family, I was like, she did it. She did it to protect her family. It's like the perfect like conflict, right? Like the juxtaposition that you get throughout. And then I was like, nope, definitely not.
There was an episode of I'm trying to remember because I watch a lot of mystery TV shows. I'm trying to remember if it was Rizzoli and Isles or NYPD Blue or something, but it had to do with one of the mothers. She was an illegal immigrant and they didn't want to have her get involved because if she got involved as a witness, it was going to come out that she was an illegal immigrant. They were going to try and get her out of the United States. And I was curious if that was going to be something about the family being there. We're trying to make sure that they're staying with us here because they can't put their name on a lease legally. I was curious about that as a motive. So she was actually my second choice right after Reagan. I mean, Reagan was up there by probably like 2 or 3%, but Genesis was on my list. She was my number 2. So again, I was very far off when it came to this mystery. We had 3 roommates. I knew it was going to be one of the roommates.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I knew it was a roommate. I didn't know which one, but I knew it was a roommate. And then out of the 3, it was the third one. So I didn't win this one.
Well, it was hard because like, the only clue was the absence of a clue, right? Like you think she has an alibi. What started cluing me in this time was the fact that she wasn't mentioned for like 50 pages. We didn't see Sierra's name. And sometimes for me, that's an immediate like, ooh, okay. we don't want the light shown on her for a reason, maybe. And so that was the only thing that maybe was like, I didn't pick up on any of the other clues though. Like the light was on in her room, but she didn't say anything. But then I loved that it was the Tanaka sisters who were like, oh no, she, we saw somebody getting dropped off, and like, then they kind of helped with the aha moment. But it was so interesting. Yeah.
So I loved, you just made me realize I just had the connection about the light in her room and the light bulb with the actual container with the with the liquid nitrogen. I'm just going, is there a connection here? It was a light in the room, the light bulb glass. I'm going, oh,
yeah.
did she actually think that out, or was that just coincidence? Because that's really clever if you thought that out.
Maybe it's symbolism. And then the light bulb that went out and that they screwed back in at the bookstore was like the idea coming in. Oh, that's a light bulb.
It was the light bulb. It was the light bulb moment. I'm picturing Parks and Recreation. If you guys haven't seen Parks and Recreation, it's hysterical. There's a scene with Ben Wyatt. He's in his accounting firm office and he has an idea and the guy goes, say it again. And he brings the light over, puts it above his head. And when he says his idea, he pulls the little light and it goes off and he poses. That's what I'm picturing in this very moment.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Parks and Rec is the best.
I forgot who Sierra even was. Laura.
So kudos to Jen, because one thing she did well is I think when you have a lot of, so roommates, you tend to like clump together, right, in your brain. Like there's 3 of them. She gave them all really unique names and characterization things. So like Genesis was in the band. Regan worked at the gaming studio. And then Sierra was the chemist and the but I had forgot she was a chemistry person. All I knew was she was a tutor. Even when I was rereading it, I like didn't pick up on that. So
I didn't pick up on the chemistry thing at all. I remember they said she worked in the dermatology office, but again, I didn't think she was working in any sort of doctor capacity. She's a receptionist. And so in my own little head, I wasn't thinking, oh, chemistry, scientist, access to that. Even though technically speaking, I should have, because I mean, they've used the liquid nitrogen on me at one time. I have issues with my hands, but I didn't make that connection, even though I actually had a personal experience where it should have lent itself perfectly to that. It went right over my head.
I know it did for me too. It was, yeah.
So Jill said she thinks the mystery is all over the place. So I will say there were a couple red herrings and I was going, okay, I have no idea. I'm looking at everybody. So this is the thing. I did not solve this mystery. And on my list, it took me probably 70% of the book before I was like, it's one of the 3 roommates. But until we got to the 3 roommates, we also had the ex-boyfriend Blake. We had even Nick, our lovable, potential frenemies over there. Nick was on the list at one point. We had Celine on the list at one point, even if it was intentional or unintentional. Then we had the ice cream woman, Lindsay. So basically we had a lot of suspects. So you could have, I mean, at some point you were like, I can just pull a character name out of a hat. So I am curious who fell for Blake or Lindsay or any of the other red herrings, because there were a few of them that you really could have fallen into that mystery pitfall in.
I know. And you know what the thing with Blake, I didn't like him, but that doesn't mean he did it. And that I remember always stands out to me. Like he was just such a skeezy guy who's leaving his card with like XOXO, come in for free food, and like just dealing them out. And like he was just kind of a skis, but I didn't get murderer vibes from him. I don't think he would follow through on anything like that. And then it was interesting with Lindsay. That was one where it was like, they threatened with the, calling the environmental health department, but I never really took her that seriously either, because that's not that much of a motive, you're like, okay, well, we'll see. And, I don't know. It was, and it was interesting. So somebody mentioned Detective Strauss, and I think
we haven't talked about him yet. We need to at some point.
We'll get to him. But it was a little bit all over the place. And I think it being the first book in the series where it's introducing the community, it also felt like a lot of different people and suspects. Because like even, Nick was a suspect for a while. And like now going into book 2, I would be surprised if, he was even a suspect, where like usually don't have that. But in the first establishing book in a series, sometimes everybody feels like a suspect because you're first introduced. So that I will, I can see that being overwhelming. Like it was a lot. And some of the motives, it's like who had the strongest motive. And I think what was interesting here was like with, Sierra, who actually did it, I don't think she meant to. And
No,
that's
it's
kind
an
of
accident.
it was an accident. And that's sort of heartbreaking too. And that made it harder to solve as well.
I was curious about that. That was one of my notes because we did have an accidental death, and I'm not going to talk about the book because I don't want to make it sound like I'm throwing it under the bus because I know people were actually very, very upset
Oh,
that it was an
really?
accidental death because we're looking at all the characters who had motive and none of them were actually part of this murder because it was an accidental murder. It was it
Oh,
was in
wow.
the moment. And so literally we read the entire book and it went back to a character I think we saw twice and people were very upset in the comment section that night when we were talking about this book. And so when it comes to accidental murders, we have Sierra who just wanted to make her sick or weaken her so that she could have some more time to get her money put together. And then she actually blames Sierra blames Jordan for drinking too much of her ice cold beverage, and she should have known better than to drink her beverage, apparently, according to Sierra. But the fact that it was an accidental one made it so much more difficult, and that's why I think a lot of us probably had trouble solving this mystery because it's harder to pinpoint your motive if your motive is only like, yeah, we just want to give you an upset stomach for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. But then what got me, so, and I'm curious if this makes it better for readers or if it's still sort of breaking one of those genre rules, right? Because like there are like genre rules, and I don't know, but if by then Sierra pushing JC down the stairs, she became a killer. I know it started out as an accident, but she became a killer. She took there was no accountability for what she did. It was almost like she was a bit of a psychopath with how she refused to feel any sort of guilt. And then she was going to take out Yale. I mean, she was like, you're going down. Like, and so it is interesting that it was an accident at first, but then is that what made her into an actual killer? So I don't know.
So I was gonna say, yeah, people are talking about the
Yeah.
threatening. So she pushed JC down a pretty big flight of stairs. It was a decent drop. I'm picturing I lived in Georgetown. I went to Georgetown, so I was next to the Exorcist stairs. That's where one of my buildings for the classes were. And if you guys have never seen The Exorcist, it's scary, so don't. But there's a giant, giant stairs, and you're just going, this is horrifying. And I think I walked up them once because it was so steep. I was picturing those, and I'm going, if anyone fell down those stairs in like the movie, you're gonna die. And it's a miracle to me that JC did not die in that moment. But the
Yeah.
fact that we then go back to the slash tires, and that was Lindsay, the ice cream woman who was mad about them being busybodies.
Which you don't find out until like the very end. And honestly, I had forgotten about the slash tires, and I was like, oh yeah, like what about those? And then it came to light, and you're like, every loose end was tied up, which I appreciate. Even loose ends where I like kind of forgot it was a loose end.
You know what? Okay, that one over my head. Oh, I forgot about that. But at least you know how it ended.
But I knew how it was wrapped up, and I love that because nothing drives me more crazy than when I read a book and like things aren't tied up at the end, and you're like, but what about this?
I mean, I was really curious though. Yale even said in the moment, she goes, I forgave Lindsay. I'm not going to talk about this. It's all good. I'm going, yeah, but she still slashed your tires. There's something going on with Lindsay. Maybe in the next book, she's the killer, or the book 3 or something. Something's going on with Lindsay.
Slashing tires is like kind of a big deal. Like you've got to take a knife pretty intense. Like I don't know, I've never done it, but it seems like it would be hard, right? You've got to be pretty angry to do that. So, but you know what? They were really sticking their noses into her business, and she's like, I just want to have a successful ice cream truck. Like,
So people, I saw them talking about the detective, and I saw Crystal T. Knits with her comment. I thought the detective had a little bit of a crush on Yale as well. Again, I have a background with the romance genre. I'm always going to be looking at I'm going to be looking for my romance tropes. They're always going to be noticeable. Even if they're not there, I'm going to be reading romance into something. So I thought he had a little bit of a thing for her too. I'm curious what you guys thought of the detective because we don't find out until I believe the 45% mark that this is his first time as a lead detective. So hence the sleuthing.
and I see Jen is leaving, so I'm going to wave bye to her.
Jen,
Thank you, Jen, for joining and for writing so many awesome books. Yeah. So when it came, so I also was here. I love a good love interest. Now I did see people comment that something that they liked about this book was that there wasn't really one. It was more about the cousins. I think that's fantastic. But like you, sometimes I can't help it. I'm like always looking for more like sparks and chemistry. And I did wonder about Strauss, but I also, then when you find out that this is his first case, it was like, oh, I see. He's trying to prove himself a little bit. And he seemed so uncertain with how to navigate this world he was in. It was interesting. I thought it was a cool thing to do. I don't know, to have him be sort of an inexperienced detective. It's a way of, in cozies, I think sometimes the detective can be seen as like made stupid. So then the sleuth can come in and save the day. And I don't always like that, because I like the detective sort of maybe the sleuth needing to solve it for a different reason. And I thought this was kind of a cool way to do that.
Yep. I will say I made a notation. I thought it was funny how he picked a book, even if they were decorative books, the decorative title for Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And she goes, does he think I'm an unreliable narrator? So even if he has a little bit of, he's not all up to date on the mystery, he did have a little bit of a cleverness to him, or a little bit of a sense of humor to pick that book. If it was just a coincidence, okay, but there are no coincidences in cozy mysteries. I firmly believe that.
No, I thought that was really cool too. And that did show that they had maybe a connection over books too. Like he did read, he did know Hercule Poirot, and like he knew the ending to that. And so it was cool.
Michelle, I didn't give the detective a second thought. He was rude, so I ignored him. And so I will say, I thought it was funny. I'm hoping upon their second visit that the first interview room was just occupied, and that's why they went to the dark and scary interview room, because the first time he brings them to a lovely, calming interview room for where they break bad news to people. Then the second time around, they're in the real interview room of, we're going to ask you the questions, the hard questions, and make you uncomfortable. And there's a scene in Law and Order at SVU with Stabler where he's deliberately making the lights go, wonky. He breaks the table leg so you can't get it's uneven, and he's doing everything to make it uncomfortable for this particular suspect. That's what I was picturing as this particular interview room, and I'm going, I really hope he's not doing this to them on purpose. So I don't fully trust him quite yet.
No, I agree. I thought it was a strategy, and I thought it was not the worst strategy, like these two girls are like thinking they can come in and like and yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. At first they're taken in and it's like the cushy room, and then it's the non-cushy room. I did think that Strauss was pretty understanding of Yale. Like he left messages on our machine, and like, if it's convenient for you, can you come down here? Like there were some niceties that he did where it was like, I don't know that a detective would be that understanding or that patient. Like, if it's okay with you, I'll stop by your place in 10 minutes. Is your cousin, is she there?
That's why I thought he liked her. That was why I thought there was something more to this character and their relationship, because I can't picture the typical detective wanting to keep a former suspect's cousin in the loop.
I know. Well, and I can't. Okay, so I never got a good I got a good visual on most of the characters, but Strauss, I can't really remember, like even what age he was. Since it's his first case, I have to assume he's a little bit younger. Like
I think she said he was only a couple years older than her on her best guess. And we know Yale, I think she said she was 32. So I'm going to guess 35, 36. That's my personal guess.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. Jen was here. Maybe upon next time you see her, we can ask her, but I think he's 35, 36. That's my guess.
That now that you say that, it rings a bell that she was like, he's a couple years older than me.
So there are people who said that they were happy that the relationship was more cousin focused and developing that sort of sister vibe. And so we did have the little matchmaker mama who wanted to get Nick and Celine together. I still think there's a vibe with our detective, but yeah, there wasn't a full on, oh, we have a romantic triangle. And the moment where I think I fully appreciated the lack of romance. So again, I read a lot of books across the board. And so there's one stereotype that I always dislike, and it's when two women fight over a guy. And so when Blake gave both women the same card and had the same flirty lines at them, and then Yale and Celine both go to his restaurant, it could have been, oh, I like him, or oh, I like him more. It could have been catty, and it could have been one of those awful moments where you just want to throw the book across the room. But I loved how they were there for each other. Nope. Celine was having a little fun with it. And then you had Yale being sassy. So it was not about, oh, this one guy was flirting with us both and we both must have him now. They both ignored him after that. No, we love each other. We don't need him.
I know. I love it. I love a good girl power moment like that, where they kind of like, he was so skeezy. Like, I couldn't get over how, I don't know, just handing out his business cards after Jordan, you got the impression, I forget if this is explicit or if this is just something that I I thought happened, but like he cheated on her, right? And so but I loved that moment when they went in and they both had their cards and like, confronted him about it. It was a good moment. It was a good moment for them.
I mean, it could have gone a very different direction. And I was very appreciative that it did not go down that bad stereotypical, you've seen it one too many times in films and other books, going, thank you, Jen. You made me very happy in this moment. Because yeah, it wasn't so much about Blake. It was about how they both reacted to him. I mean, he was a player. He also apparently got very embarrassed on his Facebook with the dumping. So I was just more happy about how they resolved the issue, or there was no issue for them. It was just a matter of, yeah, no, we love each other. We're family, and nope, you're not worth this. Nope. Bye-bye. Like, we're going to still ask you some questions and use you for clues and figure out if you're a killer, but we're not interested in you romantically. And they just push him to the side and move on with the rest of the story.
Yes, I know. I love that too. The Facebook post, I forgot about that, where Jordan tagged all of the girls that Blake was seeing and then dumped him.
So I'm just going to throw it out there. Jordan made a lot of enemies. And so we really did have our pick of potential killers here. So she was very straight-laced. And it was interesting how we got to know her after she was murdered. Again, we have a very small interaction with her buying the drink from the cousin. So we have a very limited interaction with her alive, but we learn a lot about her after her death. And she did not seem like the nicest person.
No, I don't think I would have wanted to really be friends with her, which is awful. But like somebody that's that judgy and that straight-laced and who's gonna, I mean, there's always going to be that friend that calls you on your BS, right? And like, that's great. Yeah. But they've got to still love you at the same time and accept you for your flaws. And I feel like Jordan had a hard time with that. Yeah, just to be that harsh and that like, I mean, I guess that Sierra was behind by 3 months in rent, which you have to expect is like, what, $2,000 maybe? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Or more, like that's not nothing, but there are other ways besides having a secret vote behind her back to like with your roommates and like start interviewing new people to take over. And she was a little bit harsh. And if she got Regan fired, like, ouch, I don't know.
So she definitely was an interesting character. And I find it so fascinating when you understand a character that is not on the page. I always think of Rebecca, how this character is dead before the book even begins, but yet you have all these different ideas about her and who she was and what she represents and what she did. And so I'm just always so fascinated when a character can come to life when they're not even in the scene or have dialogue or something like that. So I'm always intrigued by that. And you guys are commenting in the section saying, I saw where you don't want to like the character who dies. And I just saw your username. You 2 through, I announced you are the winner from last month's live stream. So send me an email with your mailing address so I can send it to Paula Charles. I saw your username pop up and I did not want to miss the moment. You won a book. So please tell me your mailing address because you deserve a prize. Congratulations.
Well, that's awesome.
That's
yeah, you want to like love to hate whoever it is that's in a cozy. You kind of do like that. Just keep it cozy.
It makes it easier for you as the reader to not feel as emotionally devastated. We had a book, I want to say it was 2 years ago. And again, I'm not going to tell you the title because I'm not going to try and influence you. I always, personally as a reader, I don't like it when people tell you, oh, this is how I felt going into this book. And then as soon as you get to that scene, you're going, oh, I have to feel this way too. Or, oh, I should feel this way. So I'm not going to tell you the book. But we had a book where the character's mother passed away and was the victim. And it was hard and the character's crying and I'm going, this is devastating. And I don't like the word escapism, but I think a lot of cozy mysteries have those fun components and are meant to be uplifting or have fun or moments of levity. But Yes, we're dealing with murder, and we have
Mhm.
the highs and lows in the community, and you have to keep that in the back of your mind of, yes, this is a murder, this is dark, but it gives you those moments where, okay, yeah, but I'm gonna be smiling at this joke, and I have a fun pun over here. So when we were dealing with the character's mother and her death, all of a sudden I would be really devastated. So 10 pages later, when there's a fun pun, I'm going, oh, pun. It wasn't as uplifting or fun. So when it is a character that you're kind of going, yeah, okay, it works easier for me as the reader. That's my own personal perspective.
I agree. It's almost hard whenever the family of the murder victim gets involved at all in a cozy mystery. I sort of it touches on stuff because you're like, I feel your grief. Like I like empathize with you too much and it makes it feel less cozy. Yeah.
So Meredith is mentioning the sister.
Yeah.
I really liked the sister. I was actually very happy by the end of the book because it almost it felt to me as if JC was becoming friends with Yale and Celine. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll see her in book 2 or book 3 because I liked her as a character. And it was nice that she was investigating her sister's death. So I appreciated, I don't know what the parenting skills, I don't know if they changed, evolved. I don't know why one sister seems so much more likable than the other, but I really did like the sister. And you know, you want her, she was happy justice was done, but you want her to have, well, you know, you wish her well. You want good things to happen to her.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. I mean, and like this speaking to like they both had a sense of justice though. So Jordan's sense of justice was there's a right way and there's a wrong way and you've got to be the right way and there's no in between. And then JC got really driven by the justice of as well. But it was like the justice of solving her sister's death, which is so much more like powerful than trying to call people for like being late with rent. But the other thing with JC, I actually suspected her for a good chunk the first time I read it, because one of the things that that a lot of murderers do is they insert themselves in the investigation because they want to keep tabs on it. And so I thought for a good while that JC actually had done it and was trying to keep tabs on who was a suspect and make sure her name was never brought in.
She was interesting because she did pick up some clues or some potential red herrings or clues
Yeah.
that our leading ladies, Celine and Yale, did not, such as there was not a photo. Again, a lack of evidence was something that was being brought up here. She was noticing, oh, she didn't have a photo of Nick's drink. Why didn't she have a photo of Nick's drink? Did he take the phone? Did he kill her? Did he not want something to be posted? So when she started thinking like that, I'm going, she's either really good wanting to pass the buck, trying to get suspicion over there, or she really loves her sister and wants to solve this. You're going, it's one of two things. We don't know which one yet, but it's one of these two.
And then she was pushed down the stairs and it was like she did not do it and she's on to something. And that's when I started thinking through everything she told Yale and Celine. And it was like, what does she know? And it was so, yeah.
So I do have another question because I was very intrigued by this and I almost thought there was, so I listened to it on audio the first time, then I read my ebook copy because again, I need to be prepared for y'all. I want to come knowing all the character names and knowing the plot. But the time I listened to it on audio, and it was easily an hour, I think it was almost an hour before the body dropped. And then listening to the audio, the whodunit reveal happened and there was still, I think, 50 minutes left in the audio. There was a lot of time left for the wrap up of what's going on in the cozy community, what's happening with our leading ladies. And I found that so unexpected and I was so intrigued because to me, that is very different than most cozy mysteries. Once you have the big reveal, you get maybe 2 chapters. Usually it's 1 chapter, but sometimes you'll get 2 or 3 and they're very short. So I was so intrigued by the fact that Jennifer J. Chow gave us this almost I loved Kate references earlier. This was Kate's idea. She referred to it as kind of an epilogue, and I thought that was a brilliant way of looking at it. But I was so fascinated by the fact that I was listening to the audio and I'm going, there's so much more left. What's going on? Is there a twist? Is there another killer? Is something going on? Is she actually innocent? I was so intrigued. So I'm curious what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, I'm curious as well because it was about 92% of the way through the murder was solved. And that's usually a sign that there's like a second reveal coming up. And in this case, I just think there were so many different subplots. Like we talked about the complexity and maybe it just like there was a lot happening, like the tires being slashed and then resolving all of the different relationships and the business. And then the night, like Yale's dad's the business had been suffering, the restaurant, and then also having the night market stuff. So it was like there was so much to resolve still. And then the gift of the car did feel a little bit like more like an epilogue. and shows them sort of driving off into the sunset. Like, I don't know.
That's a cute way of looking at it. Oh my god! For some reason, I was like, it's a happy Thelma and Louise. It ended well. They didn't drive off anything bad.
Yeah.
But I loved it when you used the word epilogue before, because to me that kind of put it in a different perspective, because even now when you're talking about the loose ends, some of the times, at least sometimes, you'll get the book where it's the main mystery is tied up, but you have so many loose ends. You're going, okay, I need book 2 because I need to know if these 2 characters made up, or if this fight is going to carry over, or oh, is this person, I mean, there's so many questions sometimes you're going, okay, big mystery solved. All the other mysteries, I have questions. So I would refer to that.
There is sort of a fine art to like resolving enough threads to satisfy, like, for a current book while keeping enough alive for the sequel. But in this case, it was interesting. And like sometimes, like, so I've always been taught another, like, you solve that main plot, you have like maybe 1 chapter, like use it wisely. Like readers, like, you want the happy ever after, you know, and you want to rest and like get that satisfying sort of like fuzzy, cozy feeling at the end, but it can't last too long. And that's where it did feel a little bit like an epilogue. And that can sort of feel like bonus material where like you get to enjoy it for longer.
So there is one question here, and I do like this. We do need to find out what happened to the Narnia bookstore, or or it's Narnia something. Narnia bookstore.
Literary Narnia.
Literary Narnia. That's what it is. I knew Narnia was involved, but we do have to find out if Literary Narnia stays open or closes, because that is an awesome name, and those 2 sisters are very entertaining. So that is one of the loose ends. Maybe 1 loose end out of all the different threads up in the air. So pretty good odds, though.
I know. Hopefully, you know, maybe Yale will write a book and it'll be a bestseller and she'll like put them on the map or something. That happened in Tamara Berry's, right? There was like dueling authors in a town or something. Yeah. You never know what could happen, but I'm with you. I wanted to know what happened to them because I really did like their little bookstore. It was so sweet.
So I usually like the body drop earlier, but I enjoyed getting to know these characters so much that the later body drop didn't bother me. Okay, I like that comment. See, that's the other thing too. I didn't really notice the body drop occurred later until I clicked pause to make some notes, and I'm going, oh, wait a second, we're this far in. So it wasn't until I was actually kind of forced to notice that it was brought to my attention. So I agree with you. But I'm also looking, this is a great comment. I found it odd that there was almost an hour left in the audio after the reveal, but getting a car is worth the wait. So maybe the cousin situation is the big ending that we have. That's the mystery of, will they become sister-like?
Yeah, that was a big part of the book too. So I could see that.
So
I love,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh no, I just saw somebody say, I am hoping Celine will use, this is from Meredith R, will use her influencer skills to help the bookshop. Me too. I like that.
Well, I'm curious if she's going to end up helping Nick at all with their little foodie blog, or what's going on with that blog, because now there's frenemy blogging.
Which, okay, so like, can I just, Nick started a blog and then it just made the rounds that fast? Like,
I was very curious about that myself, because I remember when I feel as if I'm aging myself drastically, but like when I first joined Instagram, if I got 2 likes on something, I was going, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. And, you know, I think I had 10 likes or something. I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And he's going, oh, it already has 100 views. I'm going, what? How did you get this to trend or pass it around your community so quickly?
I know. What hashtags did you use? It must be the restaurant network. He maybe got the phone out and called. I don't know.
I mean, if he is that capable, I'm pretty sure their restaurant is going to be okay.
It's going to be fine.
That's my takeaway from that. Yeah. But I am so if there is something you guys want to talk about that we haven't mentioned yet, please comment with it, because I want to make sure we get to all the things you're wanting to discuss, because there's so much here. I haven't really even looked at my notes. That's why I'm like, let's just flip through this super quickly. So I am curious, because one of the comments that I found was Yale. So I think everyone here seemed to really enjoy her as a character, but there were some people who were saying, oh, she's a little judgmental of Celine. So I'm curious what your end thoughts were about these 2 leading ladies. If you're going to be picking up book 2 because you love Yale, you love Celine, are you reading the next book in the series because there is a book 2? I'm pretty sure book 3 is coming out this summer, but if you guys enjoy the characters, if you're going to book 2 or not.
Yeah, I liked Yale. I think she was judgmental of Celine though because she of her own personal like I don't know, feeling bad about herself and what happened when they were children. I think she had some stuff just to work through with that, and it was more about her pride being hurt about the chapstick. But I'm curious what everybody else thinks too. But yeah, for Yale, I kind of she was she was such a sympathetic character. Yeah.
I will say I'm very happy that she seemed to grow and was evolving and becoming more fully developed and more realized in her life, because losing the job was devastating, but now she does have a chance to sort of figure herself out. And I thought it was nice that she was older, and it's not that she's having the midlife crisis, but it's okay to be older and still be finding yourself. I kind of liked that message.
Oh, I love that.
Thank
I
you. I'm
didn't mean
glad.
to.
I'm like, this is why. We're the same wavelength right here.
Yeah, I loved that. She was still finding herself, and yeah, you can be 32 and still figuring out what you want to do with your life. And like that's great, you know? And yeah, for Yale, I think something tricky about her is she was a little bit more of a passive character, like the wallflower, and that can be really hard when you have a protagonist who's a wallflower who's a little bit quieter, more in their head. And I thought that it was cool the way that she was slowly brought out of the page and like, out into real life by Celine. And I thought, you know what, without Celine, I don't know that the dynamic would have worked. I don't know that Yale would have, I mean, and I think Yale would be the first to tell you, like, she wouldn't have done anything she did. And she wouldn't have been as compelling without her cousin. It was really the two of them together that made it work.
We were talking about the food deliveries before. Celine was the one who was going, okay, I'll get us in the door. I'll ask the questions, because Yale didn't really seem to have that ability. She didn't really think on her feet. She was a little awkward when it came to interacting with people or trying to get information out of them without being too obvious. But the other one had no problem saying, oh yeah, I put your business card in there for her and I set you up. I never would have said, oh, I'm the one who set you guys up. She's going, yeah, I thought there was a love connection here. I did this. She was much more outspoken. And I was very intrigued by, I always have this moment of who's the Sherlock and who's the Watson.
Yeah.
And they almost were both the Sherlocks. There was no secondary sort of Watson, even though I think that's how we're supposed to think of Celine. I thought of them as equals. I thought they, one without the other, because Celine was very outgoing and approached the suspects, asked the questions. But then we have Gail with her notes app via Celine's cell phone, who was keeping track of things. And when they ever interviewed the three roommates on the same day, going from one to the other, I thought that was absolutely great. But I couldn't have pictured one doing that. It was the two of them had to be seeing each of the roommates together. It wasn't like, oh, I'll go take this one, you go take that one. They had to interact with each of the roommates together, which somehow that was a big flashing sign to me, like their partnership works. They need to be together to make this sleuthing happen. So I'm going, they to me are a sleuthing duo for this series. Again, we have two women on the cover. I'm hoping that it's these two women consistently, because I can't really picture the series with one of the cousins without the other. I'm hoping they stay together, and she stays in that extra room.
Yeah, well, the second cover is great too. It has the two women on the cover, and the cover is something we haven't talked too much about. I love the night market cover. I saw somebody comment that they wish it had been a light bulb glass on the cover with the bubble tea, and that would have been like just perfect. It's hard with covers because you don't always, the artist, the illustrator artist doesn't always know when it goes in to be designed what some of the story elements are. And so I think that's probably why. But I loved this cover. I love the color scheme and just the shadowy figures in the background, and I don't know, it's so cool.
I have to say, I agree with this. I love the dimensions, because it goes, the reason why I'm leaving this up with the photo is there's so much to this. You have the front with the table, then you have a stall, then you have stalls in the background, then you have the city, and then you have the moon in the background. I'm picturing this artist with, I use the Procreate app when I do a lot of graphics, and you can do layers. This to me is one of those book covers where I'm going, how many layers did you have to use in your app to do this? Because there's so many dimensions and depth to this. I really appreciate all the details, because to me, this is one of those illustrations that easily took multiple hours, days to craft, because this was not this was labor of love. This was not something that happened overnight. This was a very well thought out graphic. And the fact that I loved how like I'm holding this up and I was going, the LA Night Market, wait, that's Nick. I mean, it took me a second because all of a sudden I noticed the goatee before and I originally thought that was a shadow, but because of the way I was holding it up and going, that's Nick.
Yeah.
So I was like, she did a great job. I know that Jen in the acknowledgements gave the graphic designer, the illustrator, shout out. So the the designer's name is in here, so I can always look it up, but very talented.
That's awesome. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was looking at the comments. No, you go.
I have a question, and this is something that I thought of. So I've seen some people also have said they like Yale a lot, and then there's some people who say they weren't on board with Celine right away, like, you know, kind of goes back and forth. And I know this is frowned upon in cozies, but like I would have been interested to read from Celine's point of view. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I was curious about how Jennifer decided who her leading lady was going to be, because I think you could have easily switched it out, because if you looked at it from Celine's point of view, you now have going to a new location, getting a found family sort of situation, reconnecting.
Totally. All of those are so cozy tropes. Like,
exactly.
That would have been equally as almost like as entertaining. And then you have the cousin who's the wallflower who just won't come out of her shell. And like, it just would have been interesting. I don't know. I kept thinking about that too. Like, why was it Yale and not Celine?
Because you also have to mention, this. Celine was the one who wanted to keep sleuthing even after her name was cleared. She was the one who wanted the sleuthing duo to continue. So Celine had a little bit more agency in regards to let's keep looking into this. Yes, her name was cleared and she could have gotten on that flight to Hong Kong. And I still can't believe she did get on that flight at one point. But she was the one who wanted to stay investigating. She's the one who wanted to partner up with the sister JC. So usually you think your sleuther, in this case, Yale, will be the one going, yeah, let's keep investigating. So I thought that was really interesting. To me, that jumped off the page.
Yes. And I see Colleen commented with something that's like so spot on. The only way we could get to know Yale is through her being the narrator. And I agree with that. Because like if she had not been, she would have been so quiet. And Celine was loud enough where we could get to know her. So that's
I see this. Would we have been endeared to Celine from the start, or would she have turned us off? Interesting question, because depending on how this is read, she could come off as spoiled or something, because she did also rename the stand, spend some money, do some things without necessarily talking it over with the family. So maybe not having that on the page could be a little bit easier, instead of being like, I'm going to change everything, and you're reading her and how she's coming to the conclusion that she's going to change things. So that could have read a little off.
It could have come across a little in the wrong way.
I still love her. I still enjoyed her. And at the same time, Yale also had moments you're going, oh, that's a little judgy. So I think having the complicated main character either way might have been okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I'm very glad Selena's back. It looks like she's staying for book 2. Hopefully in book 3, she's also right next to her. I'm hoping this visa is not going to become an issue. I'm hoping she's able to stay long term, or maybe she will find love and get married, and that's one of the ways she stays in this. But I want her to stay.
Maybe she'll end up with Nick. Make the mom make her happy.
I was gonna say, what's her last name? Ho, make Mama Ho happy.
Yeah.
Really, she is the matchmaker and she wants it.
She wants it so bad.
I think that is so cute. Again, with our cozy tropes, the matchmaker mother. That's one of our tropes, the matchmaker.
I love an interfering mom. I'm so there.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think if there's something else, because after tonight, I was going to say, this was what I was pulling up before. I can't believe we're doing this. We get to check off this book. We're in February. We're checking off our second read. Death by Bubble Tea. It's officially been read. I am so happy that you guys seem to have enjoyed this book too. I'm always going, okay, the book 1, what's going to happen? So I'm glad you guys have enjoyed this book for February. And I'm glad you enjoyed this book too. And this is your second time reading it, and you noticed more things on your second read.
It was so fun to read it again. Yeah. And it's so fun co-hosting. So thanks for inviting me to do this. I was so excited when you sent me the email and a couple books to pick from. I was like, I want that one. I want that one.
I'm glad you said yes. I mean, again, I've mentioned this before. This woman, I think she is absolutely fabulous. I'm going to pull up her information again. I have the QR code. I'm so appreciative of Kate. I mentioned this to her off camera, and I'm going to tell you guys something that's probably going to surprise you, or I might not even really supposed to mention this, but very few authors ever reach out to me when a book is selected to say thank you or send me this next book in the series. Kate was the very first one to say, thank you so much for highlighting my book. Would you like book 2? And I'm going, oh my goodness, she's so sweet, so generous. And that was the very first moment an author reached out to me. And so I'm just so endeared to this woman. I think she's so kind and generous, and she's offering the giveaway tonight for her book. So let's see if I can pull up that graphic again. There's so many here. I've lost track, but I just wanted to say I'm so appreciative of her and how sweet and kind she is. So giving Kate all the shout outs tonight. So
thank you. Yes, and thank you. And I see somebody said authors must love you, and we do. Angela's amazing. So I told her this before we got on, and I'll say it now too. You know, my Killer Chardonnay was picked for the book club it was on the day that book 2 released.
Yep.
That A Pairing to Die For came out. You guys talked about Killer Chardonnay, and all that day I was getting pinged and all sorts of fun notifications of people that were reading and enjoying my book. And I even tuned in secretly because I was in the middle of launch stuff, but I was like, what's happening? And I was so touched by just all of the readers reading book 1. It meant more to me than the release day of book 2 to see such a community coming together to love cozy mysteries. And I'd been following you for a while before you guys even picked up my book. I knew about the Cozy Mystery Book Club, and I was like, this is amazing. We need more cozies, cozy groups online. And yours was one of the first. And it was just incredible. And so it really did mean the world to me. And I don't say that lightly. It was a lot. So yeah. So thank you. Thank you
from the beginning, because it's so funny to me because now there are more cozy mystery groups, and I always have to say the Cozy Mystery Book Club because it was the first Cozy Mystery Book Club for YouTube. And at the time when I had done my research, there had only ever been 1 or 2 other groups on Goodreads, and of the 2 groups, one of them had only existed for a month, and the other one had been inactive for almost a year and a half. And so it was one of the first things for cozy mysteries within YouTube or Instagram. And so I got to see you be published, and now people find you. And so frequently, Killer Chardonnay is referenced in regards to the millennial cozy mystery. Your book is referenced at panels that I don't even think you're aware of. I was talking about your book at BoucherCon over the summer at San Diego, because again, talking about the millennial cozy and talking about the millennial cozy mystery, your book is mentioned because it was one of the first ones, and you helped set a precedent. You were helping to change things within the cozy mystery publishing. And so to me, you're an icon. I'm going, she did things that are different and new, and she did it so well. So I'm very happy to know you and be able to share your books. And I'm going to pull them up again because people were asking about your books. They wanted to know how many books are in your series, and I'm glad people are finding you. Yeah. So these are the ones we have right now, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, these are the 4 that are out now. And as of now, I see people asking about book 5, and that's sort of so Berkeley said no to no more books in the series. However, I haven't made any official announcement because I don't know that I'm done with Parker. I have an entire book 5 mapped out. I even have a book 6 in my brain. And right now I've been focusing on other projects. And so I haven't done it. But there's still a good chance that someday there will be more Parker. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, I have another cozy series proposal that are being considered by publishers now, which hopefully I'll hear something soon. It's about best friends that co-host a podcast that goes awry, which would be super fun to write. And I actually just finished, I'm putting the finishing touches on my very first rom-com that I've been working on while I've been waiting. I've always been writing. Even when I don't have a book coming out, I'm constantly in projects because I love writing. And so anyway, stay tuned. I'm just, you never know with writing is such it's a strange industry, and you just never know, but I'm hopeful. So
this isn't, I noticed this before because I have an interview that I edited, and again, I'm still catching up on interviews. There's one here with Kate that needs to be edited too. But there was a technological difficulty with that one because I use Zencaster, and for some reason everything is problematic and everything's separate files, and I can always explain that to y'all at a later date. But the interview that I had edited was with Nancy Coco, and she said that they dropped in the Oregon Honeycomb Mystery Series, they only did the first 2 books because book 2 didn't sell well because it was during COVID, and because of the pandemic, certain book sales were down. And I'm kind of curious if maybe that's part of your 4th one, because I'm going, it's such a good book. I want
Oh,
more of your books. I'm going, maybe they'll give it another second look in a minute.
oh, I know. I know. I loved it. Well, and the first book came out May 2020, which was when bookstores were actually closed. And so not a great time to find a debut author, right? But like that's why online communities became so important to me, like yours. Like I said, it's such a big deal for authors. And for me, even when book 2 came out, I didn't have a launch because it was still a lot of stuff is still virtual. Like you couldn't do much in person. And so that definitely I think played a factor in it. But I just think reading is so subjective, and that's why I always like when I read, it's subjective. And when people read my books, I never mind. You can review whatever, like love, like whatever. It's so subjective. And I think one thing I've learned in this industry, and this is going way off topic for like book club, right? But like you've got to learn how to just go with the flow and pivot and enjoy the ride. And like I love the writing part, and so I'm always going to be writing. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And like I said, I don't know that I'm done with Parker yet, because I really do love that series. And I get so many messages from readers asking.
I know. I'm looking. I had been going through the graphics. I'm seeing all the comments. Everyone wants more of your writing. Everyone loves Chloe Chardonnay. They're recommending it. And I was going to say rom-com, different genre, but we're still there for it because it's you.
Oh, it's a foodie rom-com too, which apparently everybody loves a good book about food, right? Like this book with like Death by Bubble Tea, where like I'm hungry. Any book that makes you hungry, it makes me happy. Yeah, and someday I might I don't know. It's just such a wild world. We'll see what happens.
I was going to say though, you have such a healthy mentality about that, because so many authors take it so personally, and having to develop a thicker skin, it's really hard. And the fact that you're even saying reading is subjective, and even as myself as a reader, there are New York Times bestselling books that I personally just don't enjoy, or something that's won an award. And I'm going, okay, well, that book is good, but this one's way better over here. And I'm not talking about that on BookTube because I never badmouth books, but I have those opinions as a reader. But when you're doing your own writing, you're going, oh, I want this to be so well. I don't want anyone to notice a flaw. I want everything to be accounted for. I want all my details to be perfect. And it's impossible to do, but you want that. And the fact that you're going, it's okay if someone doesn't like my book, as long as it's out there and I'm doing what I love. Just the way you're talking about it makes me so happy, because you say it with such a smile on your face, and it just seems like such a great attitude to have.
Well, thank you. Well, I think you kind of have to have that a little bit. And it has taken growing thick skin. I was a writer for, I don't know, almost 10 years, kind of as a hobby on the side before my first good book got published. And you do develop that really thick skin. And then at some point, I don't know what it is, but at some point you just kind of start rolling with the punches and like, you know what? You got to enjoy the ride. That's the biggest part. Enjoy every moment. And like, in writing, like publishing, like I said, it's such an up and down industry. If you don't like the writing part, like there's just no, like, then it's just not fun at all. So you gotta like.
That's why you have to love Parker, who's over here with I have her books right there, and I pointed this out to her before the live stream. I'm going, every live stream you're technically a part of.
Oh, you're so kind. And everybody is so supportive and so sweet. I'm seeing all of your messages, so thank you. Very, very kind, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
So again, I have her image over here. Let's see if I can go pull it up. So I have all my little graphics, and we have our Kate Lansing graphic. I was very happy with this background, by the way. I love the colors for you, because you have the green in the background with your profile photo. And then I have the QR code to bring you to her website. I also have her website and things linked in the comment box. I also have her information up above when the comments first started, because this woman is being so generous with the giveaway. So all of your comments tonight, I'm going to go through them, and someone is going to be randomly selected so that they will be able to enjoy one of Kate's beautiful stories. And I'm hoping for a book 5 and 6, because I love Parker. And this is what I mentioned to Kate before. I don't drink. I'm a teetotaler. I don't drink. And yet this is a wine-based mystery series. That alone should tell you how great her writing is, that someone who has absolutely no experience in this thing is going, yeah, I want more of these books. I mean, it's great.
It's one of my favorite things to hear. You're not the only person who has said that. Like, I don't drink wine and I love that. It's like, oh, good. That's perfect. That's like.
It makes me want to drink, though. I'm going to throw that out there. It makes me want to go learn about wine. There was I don't know if they still have it, but they have those Cornell certificate programs. They had one at one point for beekeeping because Nancy Coco made me go look into beekeeping, and then you had the one for wine, and so I'm looking into this Cornell program for their online certificate. I mean, like you made me go look that up. I'm reading about this online certificate program for wine. I don't drink wine, but I love your books. And somehow I'm over on the Cornell certificate website, like going, okay, this is something I need to do in my life.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so funny. And the beekeeping. So I like, no.
This is what happens, right? Yes, the sommelier. I'm looking over there, like they want to teach you about wine, and it's this 18th, I think it was 18 months or something at the time. I think they might have changed it since then because they're always updating those certificate programs. But it was a very long certificate program, and I just love your book so much. I'm over there looking it up.
That's amazing.
I have no other reason but you.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm missing the comments. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, whether it's your own books to answer questions that I missed, something about the book you wanted to mention? Because I know I'm losing my voice a little bit, and I don't know if you just heard the barking Daisy who was going, Mama. That little girl. This little girl is feisty, okay? I very rarely share photos and stuff of her because it's so hard to get a photo of her. She's a little chicken running around. So if you guys heard if you heard the barking, that's the Daisy.
I love it. No, I can't think of anything. I enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed the discussion. I loved hearing what everybody thought. And I don't know, I always come out of, chatting with you and like doing this with, I don't know, just more things to think about. So I had a great time.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, and there's little Daisy.
Right on cue.
I know. So this was our February book club read, and I just want to make sure y'all are aware, next month, March, is Murder in an Irish Village by Carleen O'Connor, and I'm trying something different next month. So let's see if I can go pull up the different graphics, because I have an interview with Carleen, and what I did was I broke it down into 3 separate videos. So instead of having one long interview, I have 3 shorter ones. And so what I'm doing is, again, I have another little graphic of Carleen. What I'm doing is the full interview in its entirety is going to be available as the Chatting Cozies podcast episode. So we're going to have the 3 separate shorter YouTube videos and then the longer podcast episode. So you guys are officially in the know. This is the first time I'm announcing it. You guys are the first to hear this. I have not shared this anywhere else. But again, this was one of those interviews where it took me some time to edit. And again, I work so hard on the graphics. I do the name in Procreate, and then I'm uploading it to Canva. I'm doing all sorts of different things, and it takes a lot of time. But hopefully you guys enjoy the interview, because I was trying to get this. I wanted to do this for the month because I knew we had her book for March, and it's all Irish because it's St. Patrick's Day. So we have the interviews to go with that. So hopefully the timing for that works. And I'm very proud that I was able to get that all done before March hit. So you guys are officially in the know. I'm very happy about that.
Love it.
Oh, and then I'm trying to think if there's any other little housekeeping thing that I wanted to mention, because so we do have the giveaway. So get your last minute comments in, because this woman is being very generous. Oh, one of the other little things that I've been working on is, again, I have the Killer Chardonnay episode for the Cozy Mystery Book Club podcast. So if you want the Killer Chardonnay, we have the live stream, which is archived here on YouTube, and then we have the podcast episode. But when it comes to the 2024 podcasts, I am trying very, very hard to keep them so that they're timely. So I'm going to tell you guys, I was thinking about this. I opted not to do this, but I was considering having all of our 2024 live streams be every day for 12 days of cozies. So day 1 would be Pride and Prejudice and Poison, and then day 2 would be this live stream. And I thought, let's not do that. Let's not wait until 12 days of cozies when there's a lot of content. Let's make them available in a timely fashion. So as of today, the January 2024 live stream, Pride, Prejudice, and Poison, is an episode of the Cozy Mystery Book Club podcast. So the goal is, this is the goal. Hopefully this happens. So tonight's episode, or tonight's Cozy Mystery Book Club discussion, will be available the day of the March YouTube live stream discussion, so that everything sort of works perfectly. So then tomorrow, if you want to enjoy another Cozy Mystery discussion, you can. you can catch up. So I hope you guys like that idea. I don't know if hopefully this works. I'm trying very, very hard to stay on top of things. So that was my big reveal for tonight, that the Pride, Prejudice, and Poison live stream is now a podcast episode. And hopefully all of the 2024 live stream discussions will be podcast episodes for the following month. So I have goals.
You're amazing. I don't know how you do it all. Good job.
The planner, I just bought another planner. So now we have multiple planners in the works. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of post-it notes, and the cork board in the office is very colorful. Let's put it that way. I tried utilizing a color-coded system that did not pan out, but I tried. So if for you guys who are curious, okay, let's see if I can do this properly. So the first Tuesday of the month, every month, you get a brand new YouTube video featuring a cozy mystery author interview. The second Tuesday of the month, you are going to get the Cozy Mystery Book Club podcast. So all of the live streams are being converted to podcast episodes. But in case you didn't know, Kate was there for this. She knows this happened to me. My YouTube channel at one point was canceled and I had all sorts of problems. So I've been trying to back up the YouTube content because you guys take part in these discussions. I don't want you to ever lose out on the cozy content if you want to go revisit it or anything like that. So I'm taking all of the content, even the previous Cozy Mystery author interviews, and turning them into podcast episodes. So hopefully you can you can access all of the previous interviews for the Chatting Cozies podcast. So we have the two different podcasts. We have the Cozy Mystery Book Club podcast and the Chatting Cozies podcast. So no matter the platform, the podcast, I've got you covered. So a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. This is why I work really hard on the newsletter. So everything is very straightforward and broken down because there's a lot to account for.
Can I just say, so my daughter does this at school sometimes, and it's a round of applause. It's like you do your hands in a circle and a round of applause for Angela, because I'm so blown away. I don't know how you keep everything straight. So good.
It's very hard. I want to do the best job possible because I'm always so appreciative that people are taking time out of their day to celebrate Cozy Mysteries with me. And I want them to know how much I appreciate it. So it's basically my way of saying thank you, because anytime someone posts a photo of one of our book club reads, it blows my mind. I'm going, oh my gosh, you're participating. Every single time I get excited. And I've been doing this. So the idea for the book club and the announcement was in 2017. The very first live stream was January 2018. So I've been doing this a very long time, but every single time I'm always surprised. I'm always nervous the night of live streams, wondering if somebody's going to show up, take part in the conversation. So I want to make sure that you guys know how much I appreciate you. I do this because you guys are here talking about this and I'm going, oh my gosh, I want to do even more to make you guys realize how much this means to me. So it's because of you guys right here that this is happening.
Love it.
Even the 2024 12 Days of Cozies has been worked on. I'm still working. I'm getting that organized right now. I'm not even kidding. Those graphics have been in the works. So I try and make things well in advance for you, get things underway. So hopefully you guys are able to just enjoy the coziness. That's the goal. You can just jump in, and it's all ready to go. And I think those are my little memos, my little notes. I mentioned next month's book is Murder in Irish Village. And so next month, the live stream is on, I believe it's March 28th. So I looked that up. I have all of those details. So hopefully you'll just be able to add them to your calendar, join the discussion, and take part in the coziness once again. So hopefully everything makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. My email is it's writerahart@gmail.com. I almost said the handle because it's at Instagram. It's at writerahart. I'm always thinking of Instagram. But thank you guys for joining. Kate, do you have any last minute comments, questions, things about the book, things you want to mention, something about where they can find you, where they can tune in for more of your bookish news when you finally have that rom-com coming?
Yeah, well, I'll make sure to keep you posted. I'm on Instagram mostly these days. I do update my website whenever I have news too. So, but I think is it Lansing Cam or Cam Lansing? It's like two different ones at Twitter and Instagram, and it's awful for me. I think it's Lansing Cam, but you can find me on there. I should know this by now, right?
I have those moments where I'm going, wait a second, I've been talking such a long time. I have no idea. I don't know.
I'm on Instagram and I update there with anything, and I'll be sure to share any news as soon as I can. And thank you all for being so gracious. And there's Daisy. And
I know this is I think her second live stream appearance.
Oh my goodness!
She joined the Hart household a year ago, so she's been here for over a year now. So she came in January 2023. Hello.
Oh, hello.
She just went to the groomers. So this is little Daisy. This is, you don't see her all the fluffy. And yes, she's smelling my lipstick.
Love it.
So you guys get to end the night with a cute little fluffy puppy. And that was something else with the book. There was no cozy companion. So we're ending the night with a
Right. We didn't even talk about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, hi Daisy. Even you can see how wiggly she is. I'm not kidding. She's like a little lightning bolt running around. This is why. Yes, hi. I know. I love you too. I'm lucky this is a matte lipstick because I just kissed her and I didn't realize, oh, okay, you might have a little red head now. But thank you guys so much for joining. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I always do the email newsletter the first week of the month, every month. And I work really hard on those newsletters so that they have all of the information. And I'm specifically mentioning this tonight because Kate's gracious giveaway is going to be revealed with the giveaway winner in the email newsletter. So please be on the lookout for that, because I want to make sure that as soon as you know you're winning, I can get your email address or your information and send it to Kate so you can get your prize. Once you're a winner, you should be able to receive it. So hopefully you'll be able to open the email and your giveaway prize will be announced. I really wish you guys good luck. I mean, she's a great author, so whichever book you win, you're gonna be fine. So the email newsletter is the next thing coming up. More of the podcast, more videos, more coziness coming your way. I hope you enjoy it. And next month is Murder in Irish Village by Carleen O'Connor. So hopefully you have plenty of time to read that book and join in some of that St. Patrick's Day Irish fun. Thank you guys for joining, and please stay safe, kind, creative, and happy reading, writing, and sleuthing. Bye, everyone.